Welcome to the Neuropathy Support Group and Podcast. I'm Chris, and I'm so glad you tuned in. It's my hope with this podcast to help all of us gather information that might help those that need support dealing with this debilitating issue. Hello, and welcome to this podcast. Before we get started, let's get the formalities out of the way with the medical and privacy disclaimer. I am not a doctor or medical professional. The information on this podcast is from personal experiences and is meant for group support. Additionally, the information discussed is not meant to diagnose, treat, or cure any underlying conditions associated with neuropathy. All names here within are private and will not be shared with any outside sources. Please consult your healthcare provider before making any health decisions. If you have medical concerns or an immediate emergency, please contact your doctor or dial 911. Well, hello, and I hope you're all having a great day. Have a great weekend. Happy Father's Day to those fathers out there. Man, this week, Saturday and Sunday was so hot here. I don't know what it did, but it affected my whole body. I couldn't do anything at all. I was in bed the whole time, and it was just so frustrating and painful. But here we are, Monday. I got through it. But it's my hope that everyone else had a good weekend and was able to spend the time with family. On this podcast today, podcast 11, I'm going to be talking about best fruits and vegetables and the worst fruits and vegetables for somebody to be eating if they're diabetic or if they have neuropathy. So we're going to dive right into figuring out and seeing which ones are the best, because I noticed that online on my Facebook pages, a lot of people were talking about which ones that we should be able to eat and which ones we shouldn't, that it can affect our nerves. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And then at the end of the show, I'm going to be talking about the final review with the aromatherapies and which aromas I found to be the best and worst to be using. Well, I guess I forgot to mention that we're not only talking about fruits and vegetables, but we're talking about all foods. So this is going to cover all the bases. All right, so let's see here. Eating certain foods while limiting others can help people with diabetes manage their blood sugar levels. So, of course, the things that we need to make sure that we do eat is a diet rich in vegetables, fruits, and healthful proteins can have significant benefits for people with diabetes. But you want to stay away from the sugary and starchy carbohydrates. Those can raise blood sugar levels. So the first one is going to be green leafy vegetables, which is going to be spinach, kale, cabbage, and broccoli. Then you're looking at whole grains. Those are going to be brown rice, whole grain bread, whole grain pasta. But you can swap white bread or white pasta for the whole grain options if you don't like them. And I've tried whole grain. I do not like it, especially in macaroni. Next are going to be the fatty fish. The fatty fish consists of salmon, mackerel, sardines, tuna, herring, and trout. But you can also not limit yourself to be eating seaweed or kelp. Those will work also. But instead of fried fish, if you don't like it that way, you can try baking, roasting, or grill your fish too. And a good mix of vegetables is a way healthier choice to be using. Alright, so number 4 is going to be beans. And this is going to consist of kidney, pinto, black, navy beans. And of course, there's different ways of making those beans taste better than what if they're just plain. You can include a variety of beans in a chili or stew or in tortilla wraps with a salad. But when you use those canned beans, you want to make sure you find one that has no added salt. Alright, so number 5 is going to be walnuts. And the reason why walnuts is on here is because it has helpful fatty acids that help keep the heart healthy. And that's pretty much the only nut that's on here is walnuts. That's strange. So number 6 is going to be your citrus fruits. And those are going to consist of oranges, grapefruits, and lemons. Number 7 is going to be berries, such as blueberries, blackberries, strawberries, and raspberries. They all contain high levels of antioxidants and fiber. Number 8 is going to be sweet potatoes. Those are rich in fiber, vitamin A, vitamin C, and potassium, and you can make those baked, boiled, or roasted, or mashed. Number 9 is going to be probiotic yogurt. And probiotics are the helpful bacteria that live in the human gut and improve digestion and overall health. Number 10 is going to be chia seeds, which can be sprinkled over a salad or over your breakfast. You can use them in baking or add water to make a dessert. So the foods that you want to limit on for diabetes are going to be those foods that are high on the GI scale. High GI foods increase blood sugar more than low GI foods. I'm going to have to look that up and see what GI means. But these foods can be white bread, puffed rice, white pasta, white potatoes, pumpkin, popcorn, melons, and pineapple. And people with diabetes may wish to limit or balance the following foods: carb-heavy foods, foods that have high GI fruits, which is speaking of the GI scale there. But if you check into it, you see where I was talking about some of the fruits that you could eat, but most fruits are low on the GI scale, though melons and pineapple are high. And that's because probably the sugar content. You should avoid saturated and trans fats. And you're going to get those from your processed foods, including fries, chips, and baked foods that contain those type of fats, which are saturated in trans fats. You need to stay away from refined sugar, which is going to be such as the store-bought and homemade sweets, cakes, and biscuits. You want to stay away from sugary drinks and salty foods. Now, I'm not going to get too much into it, but what I saw in regards to the GI scale, what that is it's the glycemic index. And I'll put the scale there on my Facebook page. I'm going to go over a little list here that I found some more items that you shouldn't be taking if you're diabetic. And these are the worst vegetables. And I know I've mentioned some of them, but in case I miss some, here they are. Canned vegetables with lots of added sodium. Veggies cooked with lots of added butter, cheese, or sauce. Pickles, if you need to limit sodium in your diet. And sauerkraut. So now let's talk about the foods that aggravate peripheral neuropathy. Contributing factors to PN include vitamins deficiencies, traumatic injuries, diabetes, alcoholism, and others. Treatment may include managing underlying causes, physical therapy, medications, and dietary changes. And again, for the best results, seek guidance from your doctor. Gluten, if you have a gluten allergy, celiac disease, consuming gluten can trigger or worsen your symptoms. Common sources include all food containing white, wheat, cake, or baking flour. Look for products that are gluten-free. So being able to control your blood sugar is the number one strategy to prevent neuropathy associated with diabetes. So they kind of overlap each other. So if you want to improve your glycemic impact of your diet, replace refined grains with whole grains. And make sure that you choose nutritious foods like fruits, vegetables, and whole grains. Saturated fat in fatty foods and dairy products can cause inflammation and an increased risk of type 2 diabetes. So again, you need to replace those fatty protein sources with lean alternatives and eat moderate amounts of healthy fat foods. I'm going to add a little bit more to this conversation in regards to foods that you should avoid, because I found another website that says 8 foods that you should avoid if you have PH. So I know I've mentioned this before in some of my past episodes, but when you're on the internet, you're going to find so many different thoughts and reasons that individuals put different products out there. I don't understand it. Why can't everyone be the same? But it's not that way. So, like I said, this site here I found, which I'll post again on my Facebook page, gives you some more ideas and items that you shouldn't take if you have pH. Now, some of these I may repeat from just a minute ago, but I just want to make sure that you guys get the full list of items you should stay away from. Anything that's gluten, you should stay away from. You should stay away from alcohol, added sugars, refined grains, trans and saturated fats, salty snacks, heavy metals, and anything like produce that has insecticides sprayed on it. Again, that's the list that I found on the internet, but I'm going to post all this on my Facebook page so everyone has access to those things that we need to make sure that we're not eating and that the things that we do eat. So let's go ahead and start right in with my review with the aromas that I tried for the last 2 weeks. When I talked about it a couple weeks ago, I said that orange so far is the best, and that one works for pain. And trust me, many of you out there are probably skeptical as I was, but it did calm myself, so it has some kind of an effect on you. But some of the other ones I tried just for a little bit because they do affect dogs. Anything that's a mint, so peppermint, spearmint, those ones that you need to stay away from. I felt with those, I felt kind of mellow. They kind of mellowed me out. The lavender, I could only handle for 30 minutes because it smelled so strong that it was giving me a headache. And the nutmeg was the same in regards to it just calmed your nerves, made you feel real relaxed. So, I mean, those are probably the ones that are going to be for, anxiety issues, depression. That's where I would use that one, the nutmeg. So, I know it's a kind of a short review, but that's all I have for you this week. Next week, though, I'm going to be talking to you about the Nerve Renew, the pills that I got, the supplements. I talked to my doctor today about it, and he gave me the rundown on this product, or on all products that are just like this one here. So give it a shot, see how it works for you, those aromas. Just remember, make sure you have those safeguards in place, and make sure that if you're not sure about any of the certain smells that you get with the kit, make sure you talk to your vet about it. Also, next week I'm going to be talking about the Nerve Renew, which is what I'm going to be taking starting today. And I'm going to take this because I talked to my doctor and he gave me the rundown of these kind of products and what they actually are. And I'll talk about that next week. Also, I'm going to be talking about a new TINS unit that's come on the market. I was in my doctor's office and I was in the waiting room and I saw this poster up on the wall that I hadn't seen before. So I talked to my doctor about it and I will let you know next week what he said in regards to that new unit. Well, I want to thank you for being here on episode 11. I really appreciate you guys listening and also getting the word out there. Again, if there's anything that you want to talk about, just post it on the Facebook page. It's a Neuropathy support group and podcast, and I will try to get all the information I can on those issues or problems or things that you want to know about. And I will talk to you next week on episode 12. Well, it looks like our time has come to a close for this episode. But you can find the episodes on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and iTunes. It's my hope that these podcasts and other sources, such as the product reviews that we have discussed today, can help better our lives and give us some relief dealing with neuropathy. Be strong, be safe, and don't give up. And always remember, it does not matter how slowly you go, as long as you just don't stop. And again, thank you for listening, and I'll talk to you again next Monday.